Hey Scorpio, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings, so we take what works, leave what doesn't, as with everything in life. And if I don't catch your wavelength or storyline here, check your other major placements. And at the end of the video, I always post pictures of the cards that I drew, so that you can see them for yourselves and maybe follow along, or I don't know, check my work. So we're starting with the Oracle decks of Work Your Light and Moonology, and then we're going to move on to my new tarot deck, the Crow Tarot. Still throwing me for some loops here, but it's all part of the learning process here. Oh wow. Okay, well, we've got Supermoon, emotions are running high. This is basically like the sun card of the deck. Like everything's very clear. How you feel is clear. There's not a lot hidden here. There's a lot of clarity and a high intense. So there might be some intense emotions going on. You know how you feel. You might not be able to see the whole thing or the whole picture. Although Supermoon does sort of imply that you can see the whole thing, but you know how you feel. You know how you feel. Conclusions are within reach. I like this. Something closing off, something being decided or being determined, right? We're always dealing with so much energy up in the air, and our futures are so undetermined. And even tarot is talking about, you know, probabilities, and because everyone has free will, and there are a bunch of different ways that situations could go. So sometimes I feel like tarot is dealing more with probabilities rather than certainties. I know I'm uncomfortable with certainty, so that's how my readings usually come through, as more as a probability than a certainty. But conclusions are within reach. So here we've got a lot of certainty, actually. Something concluding, it's very obvious and clear that this thing has been decided. Not necessarily concluding, not necessarily over, but something's being decided, and it's very clear. There's not going to be any confusion about what's being decided here, which glorious moment in life. Even if you don't like the moment, you can appreciate the clarity and the decision. And something being set. Then we have adjustments are required, though. Maybe in order to get to this conclusion, in order to get to this clarity, something needs to be shifted. Something needs to be adjusted. We're only part way there. There's something else that needs to happen. And lucky for us, we're getting some clues on what that is. We have don't let your past hold you back. You don't have to do South Node. I love the South Node, North Node work in astrology. I'm not an astrologer myself, but I do engage with it for my own self. I love this work. This is some really cool work, North Node, South Node work. Don't let your past hold you back. Just because you've always done something some way doesn't mean you need to keep doing it that way. And in fact, you're being asked to adjust something. This card often comes with, to mean adjust expectations of what you think is going to happen, what you think the conclusion is, but also adjust your understanding of it. But with these two cards coming in here, South Node, don't let your past hold you back, I'm saying it's adjusting some way that you've always done something, some pattern, something's getting shifted here, something needs to shift. So just because you've always done something, or just because you've defined yourself a certain way, doesn't mean you always need to define yourself that way. Just because you come from a certain situation doesn't mean you'll always be in that situation. Or just because you have, you know, through your childhood and all of those very formative events, you don't have to stay formed like that, right? We get some choice. We get to move through life. We get to make decisions about how we define ourselves and who we are and how we're going to act and behave. So we also have, so this seems to me to be almost the card that holds this all together, Unbound, which is funny because it's unbound. I like, holds it all together, this Unbound. This is a seam ripper. Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Breaking free from something. Maybe the way you've always done something, which is, you know, don't let your past hold you back. Here's the past kind of holding you back. The way you've always done something. Some sort of relationship, or the way you've always related to somebody, or some sort of this soul contract idea. And Unbound Releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Releasing something from the past. I think it almost seems very clear here. Libra's was just not that clear, but the adjustment is that you need to break some sort of pattern or some sort of thing. You need to break free from something that would hold you back, that has always been part of your life. A way of doing something, a relationship, something like that. Breaking free of that, not necessarily cutting off somebody, could be though, if it's come to that. But making sure you're acting independently of some sort of prior obligation or something that you agreed to at one point. You're not that person anymore. So you don't, you're a different person now. So act like it. Don't stay in those same old patterns. All right, in the Crow Tarot, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, to-do list, and possible outcome. Still kind of fiddling around with this deck and getting used to it. It's a little shocking sometimes to me, this Crow Tarot. And this is funny too, because this one came up in the Libra reading as well. King of Pentacles in your recent past. It's a court card, so it's probably a person in your recent past or in your past. This person accomplished quite a bit. They had quite a few resources at their fingertips. They accomplished this through a lot of planning, possibly some scheming, but mostly playing the long game. They were not a get-rich-quick type person. Very solid wealth, a lot of abundance that they owned, that they knew was theirs, that they felt entitled to. They had collected quite a bit, brought quite a bit back to their place, and there's a sense of ownership over it. So King of Pentacles, King of the physical realm, and being able to bring what they want into reality, into the physical world, a master at that, a leader in materiality, a leader in material, in the material world. And this King of Pentacles, not necessarily the flashiest. He doesn't have to show off his wealth because he just has it. He just owns it. It's just his. But there is a sense of the King of Pentacles is not an under the radar king. It's not like, I mean, you're going to know this is a king. You're going to know that this is a leader. You're going to know that this is someone who has accomplished something because it is in the material realm. So a lot of times our spiritual leaders, our creative leaders, these people don't necessarily have all the trappings of their master. They don't necessarily look like masters on the surface. The King of Pentacles is going to look like a master and read as a master, and I would say have some self-confidence like a master. They don't have to go around bragging about it or displaying anything because it's just theirs. It's not really about the display. In your current situation, we have Temperance. This is a patience. This is waiting on divine timing. This is waiting for things to kind of work themselves out and be combined. There's a sense of a flow of the universe. There's a sense of divine timing, and there's a sense of just waiting on something to get sort of settled out, figured out, adjust to it. An adjustment period is usually what I think of it as. You know, this is the bartender. He's adjusting your drink, getting it just perfect. So you don't rush your bartender. There is a sense of spring here, of things coming to life. But there is also a sense of work needing to be done, right? Conclusions are within reach. Adjustments are required. Work needing to be done still as we head towards something. And some of that may be out of your hands while you're just waiting for the bartender, and your job is to be patient and to enjoy things. But there is a sort of an adjustment period here. And we're getting two cards about that. Adjustments are required and temperance. So there's just getting used to something. or someone or a situation. And that takes time. You know, there's no rushing it. There's no get rich quick scheme for adjusting to something or getting used to something. It takes time. And then your hopes, your fears, your inner landscape. We have Six of Swords, moving on, moving away from a situation that's been painful, that's been difficult. There's a lot of reasons to move on. There's a lot of, and this is your hopes, your fears. This is what you're thinking about. Maybe in this adjustment period, you're starting to wonder if this is even worth it, if this is worthwhile. There is a sense with this conclusions within reach. I'm seeing an echo here with these swords here, and concluding something. Maybe you're getting used to the idea of leaving something, or you might be worried about being left behind, or you might be thinking about and hoping for being left behind, right? This is a cold, desolate landscape. You've lost a lot here, and it just isn't stable. There's something unstable and inhospitable about the situation. And it really has you looking at the possibility of leaving, looking at moving on from something that just, there's a lot of it's inhospitable and it's unstable. And you're thinking about leaving. It's just that you were expecting something else. You were expecting spring, really. And then this snow comes in, and it's just like, this isn't, you weren't ready for this, or you just don't want this. You're ready for spring. You're waiting for spring. And yet winter seems to be persistent here. And it's like, well, if spring's not coming to me, I'm going to spring. I'm going to go to a more hospitable climate, a more welcoming place, something that's more what I want. I don't know which direction it is. I'll probably just go south. That seems to be the thing to do. So not necessarily knowing where to go, but really thinking about going. And then in your to-do list, we have the Emperor. We have quite an asshole here. The Emperor reverse, not your to-do list. Your what's at issue of Emperor here. Quite an asshole. Control freak. The Emperor in reverse is awful. This person has a lot of power, a lot of control. They're abusive with it, rude with it. This could also be just you not feeling like you do have a say, not feeling like you do have control. Like the Emperor typically just raises more questions about control and power. And this is you sort of like, you feeling like you don't have control and like someone else is controlling, someone else is in charge, someone else has the power. It could be this King of Pentacles. Somebody else has a lot of power, has more say than you do, and you're feeling powerless. You might be feeling powerless to leave a situation. You might be dreaming about going someplace where it's warmer, per se, but you can't go. You'd like to move towards spring, but you don't feel like you can. You feel very powerless. This could be this contract that seems to be holding you back. In your environment, you have 9 of Swords. Lots of reasons for anxiety. This nightmarish environment. This is normally an internal card where we talk more about your internals and what you want or what you're afraid of, where you're actually safe in your nest, but there's all sorts of fears about conflict, about, here we have this cage here too. If we're talking about needing to be released from a contract, you're afraid of this cage. You don't want to go into this cage. It's there in the environment, right? Again, we have these swords looking much like this situation here, this moon, this intuition locked behind this barren forest. And here again, we have this moon, this intuition locked behind these fears, locked behind this nightmarish situation. Good grief, you and Libra both are not having a good time here. And we've got this cage here. Your intuition seems locked away. Something in this situation has you scared. has you worried and very concerned? Well, the Emperor is a big jerk. Like, yeah, this Emperor loves to scare people, wants to scare people, enjoys scaring people. So there's something really frightening in your environment. It has to do with being caged, and being trapped, and somehow your intuition. Look at you know how you feel, but look, this moon here. This moon also has some sort of obstacle. We can't see the whole thing. We're not allowed. This moon is behind some sort of cage, some sort of intuition, some sort of feeling is trapped here. The situation has that trapped. And there's this breaking free that needs to happen. Just because you committed to someone or something doesn't mean you have to stay there, especially if it's miserable and not for your best interest. And not working for you, right? Your to-do list, geez Louise, this looks like this is like leave now. If there's a situation, work, relationship, whatever, it's just, I mean, you might have to like put something, for whoever's message this is, it's coming in really clearly. You want to leave. This is the Hermit card. This is you following your own North Star. This can be single, right? The Hermit isn't like the dad with 3 kids. Like, I mean, he might be, but he's off by himself. He's willing to work on his own, willing to leave a situation, willing to work on his own. Maybe you've always worked as a team. Maybe you've always worked in a group. This is your to-do list. The energy you need to be interacting with is the Hermit, like following your own North Star, your own inner vision. It's not going to show you grand vistas of, where this is all going. This is the card where it's just the next step, and you take it very independently. You don't, pull people. You might talk to a therapist, but you still have to walk this alone. This is, people can show you the path, but you must walk it yourself. You can't. We can't, strap our limbs to you and like dance you across this bridge or dance you into some new situation. You have to do it. You have to pick up your feet. You have to go on your path. And sometimes it's very lonely, and sometimes it's incredibly difficult. So you have this Hermit card, taking some time alone to figure out what your next steps are, acting solely in the interest of your own heart, and on your own path, your own unique path, being in touch with it, taking some time out to get in touch with it, taking some time out to, at different points in my life, I've taken some, days off of work to go isolate myself so I can make some of my biggest life decisions and choices. So there could be some element of needing to do that, but this is getting in touch with your own life path, and it's a solo journey. And then we have, as a possible outcome, 7 of Cups. Feeling a little overwhelmed, right? This card is like, I just got to get out of here. This is inhospitable. This is not okay. I mean, we've got the 6 of Swords. We've got the reverse Emperor. We've got, you've been waiting a long time for something, but now we've got the 6 of Swords, reverse Emperor, 9 of Swords. This is echoing all this, conclusions within reach, contracts, soul lives, being unbound, severing ties. Not letting your past commitments hold you back or hold you down. And then we get this 7 of Cups here, which is, there can be a lot of choices, a lot of decisions to be made here, especially once you figure out what you want to do, and you're doing that by yourself, alone. And once you figure out what you want to do, there's a lot of choices to be made. There's something that's more obvious and more clear cut, and more intuitive to you, but there's a lot of things like what path is going to make you more happy. Like if you do decide to leave this situation, if that's your next step, there are going to be a lot of choices to be made. And it might be a little difficult to prioritize, to figure out where your greatest happiness lies, or your happiness lies within, but there are circumstances that are easier that help you access it better than others. So a lot of choices and decisions that are going to need to be made here. It may feel a little emotionally overwhelming, but try to listen to your heart, try to listen to your own inner North Star, your own instincts about it. It might be a little bit confusing. There might be a lot of really good looking options or a lot of possible ways you could do something. Just your intuition, which is locked up here, trying to listen to that, trying to free yourself enough to listen to that, to get the choice and the decision that makes the most sense to you and feels right to you. So, but there could be a lot of choices and decisions to be made. All right, Scorpio. I hope that reading was helpful for you, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.